The fastest way to make a calendar in Google Sheets is using the sequence function. Equals sequence 6, 7, and the start date will be the first day of the month. We'll format these as D for day, and there's a calendar for September. But what if we want something a little bit more dynamic? In this video, I'm going to show you different ways of creating calendars in Google Sheets, ranging from very simple all the way up to very complex, so that you can create your own Google Sheets calendar for whatever you need. We've already seen the sequence function. Let's move on to something a little bit more dynamic. Let's put in here the month and the year. Now it's currently September 2024, and now we'll put in the days of the week. I'd like to start on Sunday, and then we'll just click and drag this across. Now, September the 1st was a Sunday. So right here, just like we had before in our last example, start with a sequence. The number of rows will be 6 for 6 weeks in a month. We'll get to that in a moment. Number of columns is 7 for 7 days in a week. And the start date will be, well, let's put a date here. The year will be this one. Let's click F4 to lock that in place. The month will be this one, and the day will be the 1st of the month. Now, this isn't going to work. Let's just lock that C2 in place, but it's not going to work because it's going to give us a value error. That's because of this month right here. Now, September, while it looks like a month, it's not actually a month. It's a string of text. So we need to change this into a month using the month function. If we just try this, it's still not going to work. So we can just put in next to C2, &1. Now it will work. The reason it works is because it sees this as September 1st, as we can see here, and it extracts the month from that, which is the word September. A little bit strange that it works within the formula, but not by itself, but I don't make the rules. Now we have 6 weeks here, just in case this last day is the 1st of the month, and the 31st will be somewhere around here. Now that works perfectly fine if the first date of the month is a Sunday, but if we go to October, where the first day of the month is a Tuesday, this didn't update correctly. So we need to make a few changes to this. So let's just head back to September. And in this first cell here, we're going to delete this and start over. We'll start with a date function. The year will be 2024. The month, can you remember how we did it? We typed out month, select September, and 1. And the day will be 1. Now, this seems like it's exactly the same as before. We get the 1 on the Sunday. But we can make a small adjustment so that the 1st of the month starts on the correct day. Back in our cell, let's minus weekday. The date will be exactly the same. Date 2024, month September and 1. We get the 31st, so we're offset by 1. So let's put a bracket around weekday and minus column A3. Close bracket, and I think I missed a bracket right here, and press enter. So now we have Sunday as the 1st. Let's re-enter the formula and just change the C3 to a locked cell using the F4 key on our keyboard. F4 for C2 as well, and over here. We'll leave this one unlocked because that's going to change as we move across the days. So now we get the 1st and the 2nd, 3rd, and so on. If this changes to October, Tuesday becomes the 1st. And over here in our calendar, Tuesday is the 1st. From here, all we need to do is add 7 to the previous week. We've got 6 weeks here because if we have something like June, where we have the 1st on the Saturday, that gives us the 30th on the final week. Again, let's back up to September. Now, I know that we probably read dates differently. You guys over in the States, you have month, day, year, whereas we have day, month, year, going from smallest to largest. But one of the difference might be the way we read our calendars. Now, I like to start on Sunday, but maybe some of you like to start on Monday, so let's add that functionality in. Let's put here start day, and let's put in Monday. So now we're going to rewrite these days so it references this day here. Equals this. Press enter, and we get Monday. Now we just need to change these based on our first day. Equals if this equals Monday, then we're going to write out an array. This part might be a bit tedious, but let's go through it anyway, writing out the days of the week, separated by commas. Otherwise, if it's not going to be Monday, the other option will be Sunday. So starting with Monday, put a comma, and then we'll just copy and paste these up to Saturday. Curly bracket, enter. We get a ref because there's information over here, so let's just go ahead and delete those. Now, if this changes from Monday to Sunday. These all change appropriately, but the days are now wrong. Monday was not the first, Sunday was the first. So we need to make a slight adjustment to this formula. After the weekday formula, before the column, let's put a minus, so we're in between two minuses now. If C5 equals Monday, then 1, otherwise 0. We'll put a lock on C5 and press enter. Copy this across. Monday was the 2nd, Sunday the 1st. So now we've added some complexity where we can now change the month, the year, and the start day of the calendar. But what if we wanted to add in a different amount of information by adding in some extra columns and rows in between each of the dates so that we can type stuff in? Let's check that out. Now, adding rows is simple. All we need to do is just drop this down however many rows we want to add in. So if it's the 1st of October, we could type in here, doctor appointment. But by adding that text in directly into the calendar, we've changed a little bit of the functionality and dynamicism of the calendar. We can improve that by shifting things around and adding a little bit of a side box with all our information in it. I'm going to take the calendar and just pop it over here. On the right-hand side of the calendar, we could put a details tab. Let's put a doctor appointment. The date was the 1st of October. The frequency, 1 off. And for now, we won't have any notes. We'll put that functionality in when we get more advanced. Now, something went wrong here when I moved things around, so let's just take this formula and bring it across, and that fixes everything. Tournament is on the 26th of October, just as it should be. Now with these details over here, we can use a formula to extract these details from this notepad over here over to our calendar. First, let's just merge these cells together. Let's use a filter. We'll take this information where these are equal to this. Let's lock that in place. We'll keep this B6 unlocked. Press enter, and we get nothing on the 29th of September. So let's put an if nut at the beginning so we don't get that error, and then copy this across to each of our days. We should get an item here on the 1st, and then one on the 26th. There's a doctor's appointment. And copying this down, there's our Kung Fu tournament. So if we put in here Christmas on the 25th of December and change this, let's just put in a drop down right here. Make it easier for us. And change this to December. Christmas automatically pops up because it's already in our list. Now, it's always good to have a visual indicator for when today is. So let's change it back to September because that's our current month. Now, September is not spelt like that. Let's just change that over here. We've got our doctor's appointment down here from October 1st. Let's click on B6 and we'll go Format, Conditional Formatting. We'll apply this to B6 down to H. Let's go to 23 and change the custom formula to equals B6, because that's our first reference within our apply to range, is equal to today. Let's make this a darker orange than our headers. And now we can see the 14th of September is highlighted. Today, 14th of September. Let's also apply it to the cell just below it. So let's add another rule. We'll keep pretty much all of it the same. We'll just change this B6 to a B7. That highlights this section here. Click Done and Close. So now if it were tomorrow, this would tick over to the 15th. So while that was pretty simple to indicate which day today is, it's also a good idea to indicate which month it currently is. So again, clicking at B6, we'll go Format, Conditional Formatting again, and we'll add another rule. In this case, we're going to look for any days in this top row here that are greater than the number 7. If it's greater than the number 7, then it must be part of last month. For example, let's change this to October. These 2 days here belong in September, so these are going to be grayed out because they're greater than 7. We'll apply to B6 to H23 just like before. Custom formula is equals B6 is greater than 7. We'll change this to white, we'll change this to gray. And the reason that didn't work is because we don't want B6, we want the day that B6 represents. I got my apply to range wrong. This shouldn't be to H23, this should be to H8. So now these two are gray, the rest of them are black. We'll do the same thing for these 2 rows at the bottom. If they're less than, in this case, 9, but we'll go all the way up to 14. If they're less than 14, then we'll gray out these ones down here. We'll click done and add another rule. Instead of C6, we'll make it B18 to H23. Change the format rule to custom formula is equals B18 is less than 14. Again, we need to put that day function around B18. So now these are the ones being indicated. Let's make them gray. And now we can easily see which days are for this month and which days are for last month. Let's head back to September. This is still black instead of gray, so let's make it gray. We'll click on this one. Pretty much everything will remain the same. Let's just click add another rule and we'll change this to B19. Instant gray. We'll do the same for the top one. Click on this, add another rule, change this to B7. So at a simple glance, we can see which days belong to September, which day is today, and we still get an indication of what's coming up next month, so we can prepare for that. For our next level of complexity, we're going to add in some columns between each of the days. This one gets quite tricky. Now this is going to take a little bit of time, it might be a bit tedious, but we're going to right click and insert one column to the right. Again, we'll do one more, so we have 3 columns for Sunday, and we'll do the same for Monday, Tuesday, and so on. As we do, we're messing up other things, so we do have to keep that in mind that we will have to come back and fix things. I'll just delete that and then control backslash to fix that, and we'll bring these back to here, bring these ones back to here. Again, we're going to need to fix that anyway, but let's continue. I'm getting a little bit confused where we're at, so this is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, this will be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I think I got that right. But now everything is completely messed up. Now I did move these already before. I'm just going to move them out the way just for a moment so that we can fix all this. Let's highlight these and make them a more appropriate size. Let's maybe go that small. Let's go even smaller for column C. And plan out where you want everything. We'll put the day right here in this cell here. So let's cut and paste that there. And all of these, I guess, will be cut and pasted to the top right corner. And it's looking pretty terrible right now, but trust the process. Now, over here, we've got our borders all messed up. We've got our headings all messed up in the wrong places and the months and everything all over the place. So Sunday will be these 3 cells. We'll just hit that merge cell right there. And then the same for Monday and so on. Now in here, we have Monday, then Tuesday, then Wednesday. If we put double quotation marks in between commas, that will represent each of the days. So we'll take these and we'll copy and paste them after each of these commas for each of the days. Looking much better already. Now we'll take these, Control C to copy, Control Alt V to paste in the format. Control Alt V, and one more, Control Alt V. Let's get our widths right. So let's select BCD, Control C, and then on EFG, Edit, Paste Special, Column Widths Only. click on HIJ, press F4, and so on. And lastly, let's sort out these borders. Selecting these ones, no borders, and then outside borders. Control C to copy, Control Alt V to paste in the formatting, and then click and F4 to redo the last action. We'll take all these, Control C to copy, Control Alt V to paste, and then F4 to redo. We'll take September and pop it over here and merge these. Now let's come back to the formulas. We have Sunday the 1st. That looks good. If we change this to October, this should be the 29th. Looking good so far. Now we get the ref error because it says that this column does not exist. So the first thing we'll do is we'll take this formula here and we'll copy and paste it to each of these. Now obviously the days are incorrect. So there's a couple of changes we need to make to our formula. We'll double click to enter the formula, and where we have column A3, let's divide that by 3 because there's 3 days for each day. Instead of column A3, let's change that to E3. And lastly, if we change this to a number format, we can see we've got this 0.67 on the end. We need to get rid of that 0.67 by adding a floor function right to the beginning. Press enter, and it changes it to 00. Let's change it back to a day setting. Now we can copy this across, and everything should work out fine. We've got all the days correct all the way through to November. Now for the conditional format, we could go in and just change these, but it might actually be easier to delete them all and start again because there's not too many, and it gives us a revision of what we did last time. So we'll click on B6, we'll add another rule, B6 all the way across to V21, or let's go V23 to get down to the bottom of the calendar. The custom formula is equals D6 equals today. We'll change this to September so we can actually see today, and it's right there. Let's also add it in for C and D, so click on the one we just made, add another rule, change this to C6, add another rule, change it to D6. All highlighted, all good. If we also wanted to see these ones down here, we'll add another rule and change this to D7. That one's highlighted. Now if we highlight these and merge them, then we don't have to do this kind of thing for all of them. I'm going to keep them unmerged just to increase the complexity, which we'll see in a bit. So we've done D7, let's go through the rest of them. Looking good so far. Let's bring in these details off from the right-hand side here and bring them into the calendar. We've got our filter here. I'm going to unmerge these cells so that each item appears in each line. We'll copy this across to each of these, again unmerging them. So now if something else happens on the 1st of October, let's pop that in here. We get the electricity bill right there. Now we added in some extra columns so we could put our notes in for this. So let's say electricity bill, let's just say that we have $100 per month. So this filter formula here where we've got X6 to X23, we could change that formula if we move things around over here. So let's add in a column to the left in our details right here. And let's put our dollar amount from here over to here. Now back here in our formula, instead of X6 to X23, let's say X6 to Y23. There's our $100. It's a little bit hard to read, so if you want, you could merge these together. Or alternatively, we could put in a column to the left right here and put in a formula like if this equals blank, then return nothing, otherwise the dollar symbol. Autofill that all the way down, and this has now automatically got a dollar symbol in it. Copy this across to each of our cells. So when we go over to October, Kung Fu Tournament, $50. Looking pretty good so far, but let's add in a little bit more functionality to prevent any ref errors coming up later on. Now, what I mean by that is, let's say that something else happens on this date here on the 1st of October. Let's say that we also have a water bill due on the 1st of October. The amount for water is $50. I don't know, I'm making that up. And that's on the 1st of October, so we copy that across. We get a ref error because this number 8 here is in the way. If we add in a couple more lines here, then the item comes in. Let's just add in a bunch more so that we can future-proof this. So let's do 5 lines for each day. In here for Tuesday, we'll put in after the ifna an array constraint, array_constraint. And let's try to spell it right. Now, an array constraint tells us how many rows we're allowed to have and how many columns we're allowed to have. So in this case, the number of rows, we can only have 5 of them. And the number of columns will be 3 because it's 3 across. Press enter. Nothing looks like it's changed. But if we added in a few more of these bills here, then we don't get the ref error. And we could still see some of our bills, but maybe not all of them. Because we added in some extra lines here, we've got our formula in the wrong place. So let's just copy and paste that up to the right place. The easiest way is just to copy from the first row. Now that's taken us through several levels of complexity for how to build this calendar, right from the very basics all the way through to adding details in from our notepad on the side directly into our calendar. Now we can go a lot further for this. For example, we've got this in the notepad, we've got our frequency here. We could add in some different frequencies, for example, daily, weekly, monthly, and so on. But if we tried to do that in this video, then it could get quite long. Another functionality might be to take the information from this calendar and then put it into our Google Calendar or the other way around. So if you want to see either of those,